Welcome to this week's installment, our Football Officials video training series. This is the 2017 edition. We're studying the National Federation of High School Rules and 5-man mechanics. This video is produced by the Arkansas Association of High School Officials. Visit our website at aahso.com. We're helping good officials get better. Technical assistance provided by Dax Hill, Greg Downey, and George Demetrio. Video assistance provided by Chuck Scott. Produced by Kenny Sanders. Our executive in charge of production is Walt Coleman. I'm your host, Todd Allen. I know you want to be a better football official every week when you step on the field, and rules knowledge is the foundation of any good official. But the rule book can be overly technical, dry, and boring. It's just hard to stay focused. I personally recommend the Reading Study Guide for the NFHS rules. Its easy reading style are both informative and fun. The general overviews, in-depth discussions, and quizzes give a great practical application of the rules. I've taught football officiating to hundreds of officials, but I never hesitate to recommend the Reading Study Guide to the NFHS rules. When you're through learning, you're through. No player or non-player shall execute a blindside block outside the free blocking zone with forcible contact unless initiated with open hands. But what exactly is a blindside block? For that, we look in 2.3.10, which defines a blindside block as a block against an opponent other than the runner who does not see the blocker approaching. One other definition that I want to look at is 2.3216H, which defines specific examples of a defenseless player as being a player who receives a blindside block with forcible contact not initiated with open hands. So let's take a look at this play now, and we're going to talk about specific positioning as this ball just ends up on the outside, running down the sideline. Head linesman's trailing the play, but let me stop the play right here and look at this. And talk for a minute about coverage and keys. The umpire's looking at the backside of the play. Head linesman's got his hands full with the ball carrier because the sideline is threatened, but I don't think that excuses him from not seeing this block. But let's look at the back judge's positioning. Not visible on the screen here, but the back judge is working the point of attack, and there are two potential blocks, these two players right here. So back judge, don't get tricked in watching the ball carrier here. You've got to focus on these two blocks. As this play develops, we see this block. I've got an end zone shot for you too. I'll take it right to the block. This is the player that's going to initiate the block, number 55. And he hits this defender, number 10, who is very, very vulnerable to injury because his physical position and focus of concentration. Those are things that you have to remember when we're talking about defenseless players. Because this player, number 10, is clearly a defenseless player. And now we're clearly outside the free blocking zone. Does he see this offensive player approaching? Clearly not. He's running full speed chasing this ball carrier. So this block gets initiated here, and this is a nasty block. Now let me slow it down here as he hits the ground, and I want you to notice the head. That impact with the ground. This is the single greatest point or cause of concussions with National Federation of High School Football players. This is the block that we want out of the game. Head linesman doesn't pick it up. Back judge doesn't pick it up. No calls for both of those players. We can understand the head linesman here, but back judge, you've got to focus in on this action and recognize these players that are initiating blocks that are blindsided, not using an open hand, and this forcible contact. There has never been a better illustration of what is, in fact, forcible contact in this play right here. So this is a play we would expect the back judge to pick up. Head linesman's got a shot at this. Even the referee trailing the play, boy, if you pick this up, that'd be a huge attaboy for you. But we don't get a foul here, and we missed this blindside block initiated against a defenseless player, and clearly a foul. Now let's compare this last play with this play, where what I want you to do is focus on this receiver at the top of the screen here. Now he's going to drag over the middle, and this middle linebacker is going to step up. But they're both looking at the quarterback. I've got an end zone shot of this too. Look at this. You can see both players are looking squarely at the quarterback, don't see each other, and there's a collision here, a violent collision, right in front of the umpire, who throws a flag on this play, and we end up with a touchdown by the offense. Now, what is this potential foul here? What we've got is the umpire mistakenly identifying this as a blindside block. Now, we know that the umpire is focused on play at the line of scrimmage. So this wide receiver going across the middle is the key of the head linesman. So what we have to have is a conversation involving the head linesman. Back judge, you may be able to help with this. Because when the umpire incorrectly identifies this as a blindside block, you've got to take him off of that. You got to explain to him exactly what happened, that this is not a blindside block. This is incidental contact. It does occur on the blind side of one player, but he's the actual player. If we look at it, he steps into the path of this receiver. Perfectly legal block if he does it deliberately as a defensive move because the ball's still in the quarterback's hand. But this is completely incidental. Neither player saw either one because they're both reading the eyes of the quarterback. So we got to get together as a crew when these types of plays happen. Umpires, you've heard the expression before, but it's pertinent here. Stay in your lane. You know, you're watching inside play, and this comes right across in front of you. You know by your focus of concentration where you're looking that you don't see the steps leading up to this, unless you've taken your eyes off of your keys, which you obviously haven't. But you see this violent collision right in front of you, and your instincts tell you to throw. But you got to trust your partners. And that's what this is an issue of, because you don't have the perception of what happens right before the impact. And that's why we get fooled here on this play. This is not a blindside block. It's incidental contact, no foul here. Should have picked it up. What you've got to do, instead of picking these types of flags up, is, and this is not just for the umpires, this is for all the officials. Don't fish in another official's pond. Stay in your lane. Focus on your keys. Be willing to help out another official if he's out of position. But I would have expected if this happens and we get a flag down, there's a conversation, we have to know whose key this is. And there has to be a conversation with that official. And that official would certainly pick you up, tell you to pick this flag up. There is no foul here. This is not a blindside block, and we get tricked on this one. But it's an interesting play to compare with the blindside block we saw on the previous play. This play, we've got the quarterback in the shotgun formation, just a go route. Wide receiver gets bumped at the line of scrimmage and then running an open field. Safety over the top here, and a dual competition for the ball. One of the things that I want to point on this is I back it up here and freeze it at this point for our back judges, and also for the official here at the bottom of the screen who'd be the line judge. Notice the safety is focused completely on the ball. And there's some contact here as the ball arrives, but these are two players competing for a ball and both have equal rights to it. Got an end zone shot here too. Wanted to show you, it's not great, the camera doesn't get turned around in time, but you can see this ball headed right into the safety over the top as the receiver comes in and tries to cut the ball off in the route. That's where the contact occurs. And what's important about this play, back to the wide shot, and I want to share with you and make sure that you completely understand, is you have to recognize these players that are completely playing the ball. And this defender has every right to the ball just as the offensive player does. So this is a great no call here for this contact. There is no defensive or offensive pass interference here. We don't get a call from either official. That's a great job. But what creates this confusion is it looks like these players go to the ground with possibly even dual possession, although the ball looked like it was headed right into the defender. Look at this signal from the back judge. He is cupping his hands straight down in a catching motion. And when we give this signal, this is an indication the offensive player has caught the ball. And that's what creates some of the confusion here as the line judge comes in and cuts the play, stops the clock. Back judge, no matter what you've got here, because of the angle of this, and you've got the back, you're secondary on this play. This play falls into the lap of the line of scrimmage official. And this is what's tough with 5 officials. But the best mechanic for our back judge here is just to close down and cut the clock. And stop the clock, the motion above your head stopping the clock. And then you can come in and have a conversation with the line judge if you need to. But if you two come in and say that the conversation is that the defender caught the ball, and then after he was on the ground, the offensive player tried to wrestle it away from him, which is what appears to happen here, then you all could just make that determination and both signal in the ball first down for the defense. But the main thing here is to learn to cut the clock, because it's either a first down or a change of possession. So stopping the clock is the prudent thing to do no matter what. And you won't send this confusing signal out of an offensive catch, which creates some confusion in this whole play. The other thing about the signal for stopping the clock is it gives us a couple of seconds to process the play, and we can have a conversation, and we can determine what happened, and then we can come out and make the correct signal. This play, we're going to have a quarterback pitch the ball and the runner come to the outside. And the player that I want to focus on is this wide receiver out here, number 31. And this player is going to head toward the inside. Line of scrimmage officials, same thing with the back judge. Anytime your key starts to the inside, stay with him longer. Treat him like he has a brick in his hand. Because players going to the inside, especially when the ball carriers come into the outside, are trouble. Something bad is going to happen here. And if we keep an eye on this player, we notice here that he tries to try this low block. Unsuccessful, he whips a leg around. We got a nasty leg whip right there. That's a 15-yard penalty. That's a personal foul and something we got to catch. And he may actually get him a little low enough that we'd call that a block below the waist, no problem. We'd support that because this is clearly his intent here, but this leg whip's nasty. That's an easy way for a player to get seriously injured when we have those legs whip around. Anytime your key goes to the ground, especially linemen, this is a great note for the umpire and referees. When you see a lineman go to the ground like this, boy, you got to really focus on him because those leg whips are nasty. As this play goes down the sideline too here, line judge, hey, don't hurdle a player. Don't hurdle a player unless you absolutely have to. This one we could have stopped for or gone around and then gotten to the goal line and signaling touchdown. Good coverage, great athletic move, but hey, we definitely do not want to do this. This is how somebody can get hurt. So, but we've got to catch these. We've got to catch these blocks below the waist that are prohibited, and these outside guys are always prohibited from blocking below the waist. Same game, same player. Just a little bit later in the game, now he's lined up on the opposite side, head linesman side of the field in the slot, and we just take this jet sweep to the outside, and he catches this outside linebacker low. Another illegal block below the waist by the same player because we haven't called it yet, and that's what he's waiting on. Here we get a flag down on the ground. And these are the types of plays that we absolutely got to focus on our keys, stay with our keys a little bit longer when they head inside. The way we get these illegal blocks below the waist is by focusing on your keys and letting everybody do their job. You know, stay in your alley and these plays will come right to you. It's when you get off your keys too quick or when everyone's watching the ball that we miss these types of fouls. But we've got to get these illegal blocks below the waist. These are 15-yard penalties. That's it for this week's training video. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. Next week, and I previewed this week, but I just didn't have time to get to it. Next week, the all but one principle, and I've got a really interesting play that the adaptation of the all-in-one principle is really, really important, so look forward to that. And I appreciate you checking out the videos. If you got any questions or comments, here is my email address. It's todd@aahso.com. Until next week, for the Arkansas Association of High School Officials, this is Todd Allen saying I hope to see you on the field real soon.